So good morning and good afternoon to everyone. I am Kim May. I'm from the Fillmore Group. I am here with IBM's Bill Kincaid, and we're going to present the top 3 reasons DB2 is best. I have everyone on mute right now, and as we go through the presentation, if you have questions, you can type them into the chat bar that's on your screen, or you can save them until the end of the presentation, and we'll open up the floor and we'll be taking some questions. For those who are joining the call today, I am the Vice President of Business Development for the Fillmore Group. We're a premier IBM business partner. We've been working with the information management stack of products for the past 25 years. I am here with Bill Kincaid, who is the IBM Competitive Sales Specialist, which means he is competing against all databases that are non-IBM databases. So, Bill, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit and explain a little bit about what you do?
Well, hey, Kim, thank you very much. Yeah, this is my 34th or 35th year. I lose count with IBM, but somewhere in the middle, I spent 9 years with Oracle and 5 years with Microsoft. And I love getting engaged with customers who raise their hand and say, you know, I'm not sure I'm getting the value that I'm spending with either Microsoft or Oracle around their databases, and the value and the money that I'm spending. So I get engaged with the customers when they raise their hand, and we show them an alternative from IBM called DB2. So that's what Kim and I want to do today, is sort of highlight the differences, tell you why it's important for you, and bridge it back to some use cases for you.
Very good, very good. So one of the things we want to start with is just explaining what we're not going to be talking about today, which are the popular topics today in information technology, and that would be our good friends cloud, social, mobile, and big data. Those are the big hot topics that everyone's being inundated with information about. And we believe that at the end of the day, you can't have any of those without a solid relational database, and that's why we think it's important to know what's going on with technology, but we really want to make sure that those other topics aren't getting all the press, and that we keep in mind that the database is really important. One of the things I wanted to share with everyone, I did some searching to see, you know, like what are people saying, what are people in the technology world saying about what's happening with the relational database. You know, we're hearing from customers over and over again that one of the things people are trying to do, they are finding after 25 or 30 years of developing relational databases that they have these sprawling environments, and they have a lot of interconnected data that's stored in different data silos. And one of the solutions that seems to be the popular one is, well, let's all dump it all into Hadoop and see what happens. And I think what we've heard of many customers who seem to think this is the solution, and the reality is that without a relational data model, there really isn't a whole lot you can do. So one of the things, you talked about this a little bit, Bill, about the 2 different ways that you could use a relational database. And why don't you explain this a little bit, this slide?
Sure. I mean, we're all seasoned professionals on the phone here today. And by the way, thank you for joining us. There is nothing better than rows and columns to store data. There really isn't. And particularly in an online transaction processing environment or in an e-commerce transaction kind of environment. There really is nothing better than storing in rows and columns. And that's the bread and butter for a relational database. But with the new technologies that Kim and I are going to take you through, particularly around IBM's BLU technology and our BLU acceleration, you now have the opportunity as a customer to hold on to your relational technology and use it in a data warehousing or a deep analytics OLAP kind of environment using columnar in-memory technology. Now, we haven't addressed it yet. We will in a couple of minutes. But what I want to tell you is the investments you've made in your relational technology is easily extendable today through IBM's DB2 10.5 versions through the BLU technology. So please, understand that what you've invested in today is easily extendable into future uses and technologies.
and this is really important. I think one of the things that we, the Fillmore Group, have been doing for years is we work with a lot of the IBM replication solutions, and we help customers with data interoperability, which in a lot of cases basically means let's take some data out of our OLTP database and move it someplace else so that we can do analytics. And the whole process of moving that data, the ETL process, is cumbersome, and it's time-consuming and it's expensive. So if you can leave the data in place and do both OLTP and analytics, it's a huge, huge savings. So our agenda, I guess now that we're rolling along, let's do the agenda. Basically, why should anyone be here and why should anyone care? You know, as we said earlier, we really do think relational databases are the backbone of anyone's data management for their organization. The 3 top reasons DB2 is best is what we would really like you to come away with today. And there are, with any sort of technology right now, there's a lot of different things going on and new things going on. But the reality we believe for DB2 is that it is the most functional. We have great customer references, and we've proven time and time again that it's relatively simple to implement, it's the best to manage, and overall it's got the lowest total cost of ownership, and also the pricing, which when you're looking at if we're going to move to DB2, what's the bottom line? And for a lot of organizations, the reality is they're just looking at cost. So and then we're going to go through the next steps. What we can do to help you get to DB2 if you're not there now, and if you're a DB2 user, what we can do to make sure that you're using the right DB2 version and have the right packaging solution so you get the functionality that you need. 3 takeaways right here. I hope everyone comes away with something of value from this presentation. So one of the slides that I wanted to include in this deck is a slide that we are seeing shared by a lot of people that are promoting DB2 today. This is the 2014 messaging, and I want to make sure, and Bill, I'm going to do my little disclaimer right now. This is my slide deck, not Bill's, so if anybody wants to say, hey, this came totally from me, and the reason I wanted to include this is that when I look at this slide, I am totally confused because there is no clear messaging. When Bill looks at this slide, Bill and I talked about this earlier this morning, when Bill looks at this slide, he says, you know what, this all makes a lot of sense. This is all important. So you do your defense of this slide.
Well, thanks, Kim. Yeah, if you're looking at the same slide that I am, and I think you are, there's 6 items on here. And even though they may look disjointed, they are actually integrated very well inside the relational technologies, which we at IBM called DB2. And our latest version is 10.5. The reason I bring that up is that latest version brings with it BLU acceleration. Now, I'm not sure what BLU stands for. There might be a couple IBMers around that know, but it's something lightning, unlimited. Regardless, we are taking in-memory columnar technology that resides inside that relational database, and we are leveraging it for customers to do deep analytic processing, all in the same kernel of DB2. So the BLU acceleration was the beginning, and then most recently we announced the shadow tables, which is in the latest FixPack 4, I think, of DB2, and the shadow tables are the next step to allow you to do both OLTP and OLAP queries and not compromise any performance. So if you're a DB2 BLU customer, you want to get to FixPack 4 as quick as you can because it has benefits that are far beyond what you pay, and you don't pay anything because it's all embedded in the same technologies. From a high availability perspective, DB2 has always had HADR, high availability disaster recovery. But within the last 5 to 7 years, we've introduced pureScale. And pureScale is really mainframe technology that we have taken and put it in a Linux, Unix, Windows environment. So it takes the Sysplex technologies that IBM is notorious and famous for around our high availability, our highly available mainframe technologies, and placed it in a Linux, Unix, Windows environment. So we've taken that high availability from the mainframe down to the distributed environment, using DB2 pureScale. We'll also, embedded in the DB2 database, is the capability to support the next generation of applications that might want to use NoSQL. So if you don't want to, if you have applications that you're writing that aren't written to work in a SQL environment, we'll protect that investment in DB2. The last two are pretty important, and these are kind of geared towards Oracle customers or Microsoft customers, but particularly Oracle customers. And here again, I mentioned I worked for Oracle for 9 years, and I was fairly successful, particularly in the Mid-Atlantic and Southeast parts of the U.S. But the IBM engineers, in essence, revamped the database and the kernel to make it easier for Oracle customers to make a decision. And we have Oracle compatibility that is embedded in the kernel of DB2, and it is upwards of 98% compatible around the PL/SQL for Oracle. So the migration effort, if you were an Oracle customer and you were to come to Kim or myself and say, you know what, I may be paying too much for my Oracle environment, and we hear that a lot, we'll give you an opportunity to evaluate what IBM is doing around DB2 and the migration effort to move from an Oracle application to a DB2 application is now very, very easy because of the Oracle compatibility around the PL/SQL that's built into the DB2 database kernel. And then lastly, here again, kind of targeted to an Oracle customer, we have embedded and placed all of the tooling necessary to tweak and run the database into the license price. So if you're here again, and I only tell this because I'm very familiar, but if you're an Oracle customer, there's about 8 to 20 options that you might buy along with the license of the database. There's tuning pack, there's diagnostics pack, there's partitioning, there's rack. We've embedded all of those features and functions and all those tools into the license price of DB2. So you get one price, one low total cost of ownership, and an opportunity to reduce your pricing and reduce the complexity around the managing of the database environment.
And we're going to do a little bit of discussion around packaging and pricing later. And one of the things that I want to make sure everybody's aware of is that this whole tooling package and all the stuff that's that's now available in the Advanced Enterprise Server Edition of DB2 is just an amazing group of products. And one of the things we had talked about this morning was the fact that if you add all of these products up and you do the separate pricing, it's a huge savings. But it's also very good. There are still some customers that aren't at Advanced Enterprise. They're the Heritage Enterprise Server customers, the DB2 customers that bought DB2, 10 or 15 years ago.
Right, excellent point, Kim. If you are a DB2 Enterprise Server Edition customer and you'd like to have some of these features and functions that are in the Advanced Server, there's an easy path to get there. It's basically you in essence you pay the price of the difference in the licenses, but the benefits far outweigh.
And you get all the stuff.
And you get all the goodies. And by the way, let me just add for my friends out there, I'm not here to bash Oracle. I'm here to sell the benefits of IBM. But in order to sell the benefits, I have to compare and contrast what is currently available in the marketplace. I'm just putting the facts on the table.
You're among friends. You're welcome to bash Oracle if you wish.
No. Because I know there are customers on the phone that we're listening to or that are listening to us that that have an Oracle environment. And trust me, I know they're a very, very they're a competitor. There's no question about it.
They're a competitor, and I think.
But I'm here to just put the facts on the table, and I would ask for you, ask me to prove it.
Absolutely.
Ask me to prove it.
Absolutely. So I think IBM pretty much coexisted with Oracle up until about 3 or 4 years ago, and then IBM started with the break-free forms. I think in like 2011. I probably have it on this slide. 2011, 2012. They actually started saying, okay, we're going to square off, and we're actually going to really compete. And so that's when the Advanced Enterprise Server bundle was announced, and every year at the IBM Information on Demand conference, which is now called Insight, there is actually a break-free forum group of sessions where IBM basically is talking competitive. Let's get up there and explain to customers and prospective customers what it is that we're doing better with DB2.
And by the way, if you're an Oracle customer and you ask me to prove it, if we can't show a better technology at a total cost of ownership then is less than what you're paying today, we'll shake hands and agree that we'll be back.
Yep. Yep. So let's dive in. So I want everyone to take one quick moment and take a look at the picture of Cancun and just put that in your head. And when you think about DB2, I want you to just think about the blue water and how beautiful it is. But so the latest release of DB2 version 10.5, FixPack 4, is that what it is? FixPack 4 was named Cancun, and so it's supposed to make you feel like you're at the beach. It's DB2 at the beach. Some of the stuff that was included, there were some enhancements to the blue technology and some enhancements to pureScale. PureScale, as Bill explained, is based on IBM's parallel sysplex technology that was developed for the mainframe. But basically what you want to be able to do is spread the database over multiple processors and be able to pull one out when you need to and let the rest of them continue to run your database. And it allows you to have continuous availability. So it's very cool technology that was developed for systems that simply cannot go down. I also wanted to include a slide where, and this is actually a slide that I believe is 2 years old, and this shows some of IBM's key acquisitions over the past few years. IBM has been acquiring competitors and acquiring best-of-breed solutions so that they can build this toolkit so that when you have it, not just the database, but you also have the tools surrounding the database. You can get a sense of some of the names of the companies and the dollars that IBM has spent to make sure that we have a really amazing toolkit around DB2. And at the end of this presentation, there's a link to the current information, and you're welcome to do some more research. This particular slide, and I think this is one I would like Bill to talk about a little bit, because this is certainly stuff you've been working with for the last few years, and this is all about what IBM has done in terms of quantifying how much better DB2 is than Oracle in the market.
Thank you, Kim. Hey, it's interesting. I showed this slide 3 years ago, and Kim and I were just talking before we got on the webinar. This slide's still relevant. The numbers really haven't changed dramatically, and if they have changed, they've gone up. The advantages are to our favor. So there are 6 pillars. If you look at, when we say highest value database in the marketplace, we measure that in 6 pillars, and our measurements are also backed up by some third-party studies. Let's just take them one stop at a time. The top one, in terms of people cost requirements, we don't get a lot of kudos for this one, but it can be fairly important to an environment that has lots of DBAs. But the effort to support DB2 is potentially or upwards of 43% less time than an Oracle environment, and this is backed up by a study that was done by Solitaire Interglobal. So there's one environment that is important, the people cost requirements. Number 2, because of some of the autonomics and some of the algorithms that IBM has built into the database, we do our own self-optimizing, self-healing, self-configuring, and self-protecting of the database. So that, here again, takes away a lot of the effort that the DB has to do. As an example, if you're an Oracle DBA, you've got a tuning pack for tuning, you've got a configuration management pack for configuration efforts. There's a couple of other packs that you buy from Oracle. The autonomics that we've built into the database basically give it an opportunity to self-heal and self-tune itself. The third one around storage, because of the algorithms here again that IBM has built into the database kernel, we see upwards of 75 to 85% in terms of compression rates. Now, that has 2 benefits to you as a customer. It saves you money on the compression on the back end, and if your storage is anywhere from $5 to $15 per gigabyte per year, it starts to add up. So if we're saving money on the back end, then it makes the value of the database license that much more important. The second piece of that is it saves you money on, or saves you time on I/O. if you are, because we're compressing at the database, if you're compressing at the database, you're sending less data through the pipe, through the I/O. So you're saving on both sides of the equation. In terms of fast, there's a lot of measurements. We all leap each other. When you look at some of the third-party measurements, this week we're ahead, next week somebody else is ahead. But it has been a consistent, particularly in the SAP environment, which I think we would all agree is a very, very complex application load. But particularly in the SAP environment, we have proven time and time again to be much faster than what's in the marketplace today, both on performance and scalability.
So when you're working with an Oracle customer right now, do you typically do a bake-off in terms of performance, or are you more, how does that process typically work? Well,
the proof of concepts that we're more than willing and more than happy to do for a customer really revolve around proving out the concept that technically it'll work, and then proving out the concept against certain workloads that the customer wants to give us.
Gotcha.
So the workloads develop the performance, and then we're proving out the architecturally sound capabilities of the database.
Right, right. Okay.
We talked about, I'm getting ready to talk about high availability. I suspect if you're an Oracle customer, you're fairly familiar with RAC, Real Application Clusters. PureScale does, for DB2, what RAC does, but it does it, the end result is similar, but how you get there is a little bit cleaner and a lot less time consuming. Than what you might be accustomed to in a Real Application Clusters environment. But here again, remember, PureScale was developed out of the Sysplex technology from the IBM mainframe, and I don't think there's anybody on the phone that would disagree that an IBM mainframe is a world-class environment with zero downtime. So if we take that technology and move it into the Linux, Unix, Windows environment, then you feel safe and comfortable that it's going to work. And then lastly, from a scalability perspective, PureScale not only provides high availability, but in an environment where you have multiple nodes or clusters, we will scale linearly up way beyond 32 to 64 nodes. I know from my Oracle days that when you get to 4 and particularly 8 nodes, the RAC real application cluster scalability in an Oracle environment tends to degrade down into the 80% capabilities. So rest assured that we're not only talking about high availability, but we're talking about scalability in case you have to add nodes at peak performance times during the month.
Fantastic. Thank you. And we will go to the next slide as soon as I can get this thing to move. Come on, machine. Here we go.
All right, and so we talked about functionality around high availability. We talked about PureScale. We did mention HADR. HADR is an active passive environment where you have a production server and you have one as a standby waiting for something to happen. A queue replication is nothing more than another sort of an active environment where you're replicating. And then InfoSphere change data capture is another technology that where you only capture the changes that were made and only move across those changes.
Right. And a couple things on this slide that I wanted to point out, because I've talked to customers in the past that have been trying to figure this out. When PureScale was first announced, you couldn't run PureScale and HADR together. Now you can.
That's correct.
And queue replication and InfoSphere change data capture have both been used historically to replicate data from one place to another place, typically from one database to another database. And they've now been combined for licensing purposes into one product, which is bundled into Advanced Enterprise Server Edition. So if you buy a DB2 Advanced either Enterprise Server Edition or Advanced Workgroup Edition, you actually get your choice of either of these products. And I think that's basically what I just explained.
Yes. We've been talking about PureScale, and you can see the chart on the right-hand side, but that chart looks a lot like what a mainframe environment might look like using the Sysplex technology.
Yes.
And if you'll notice, bullet number 4 says we have actually leveraged what we get out of the ZOS cluster technology.
Yep.
Similar situation, and in this case, this is kind of interesting. In an Oracle RAC environment, there is one server that holds the key, and the rest of them, if I remember correctly, the rest of them kind of wait for that key to move around, or the token, not the token,
I don't know.
Okay,
I'm not as technical as
technically it's not a true master-slave environment in a rack cluster, but there is one that holds the keys. In this environment, not one server holds any one particular key, so it becomes, in essence, a continuously available environment. Continuously available means up 100% of the time.
Yep.
Kim alluded to this earlier, but I want to show it primarily, and there are no dollars on here except on the far left-hand side of the grid, but a single license of DB2 with all the features and functions would cost you upwards of somewhere north of $160,000 to $180,000, north of those, just by buying the license, the scale-out clustering, which is real application clusters, advanced compression, advanced security, partitioning, all of the management packs that normally Oracle customers buy, the developer tooling, and the replication, which Oracle bought from Golden Gate. So that stack on the far right-hand side, to get equivalent performance and capabilities out of a DB2 license, you get it all in the purple stack on the left-hand side.
Yep.
So the cost, it is a dramatic difference in the cost on a net new basis, but it also carries forward if you're currently an Oracle customer and you're currently paying Oracle support, you might be paying Oracle support based on a cost stack on the right-hand side. So I'll be able to bring to you a support cost on an ongoing basis from an operational expense perspective that is much, much lower than what you're potentially paying with Oracle today.
And I think the other thing that's important, I mean, since we sell software, I mean, one of the things that I've always found competing, particularly against Oracle's Golden Gate, is that IBM's pricing for all these, for replication, for tooling, for performance management tools, it's all, I mean, IBM is competing with Oracle. So the pricing, Oracle and IBM's pricing are very similar. So if you're buying, even if you're using only 4 of these different extra tools or ancillary solutions, if you add those up, you're still paying. If you look at the purple boxes and you compare DB2 and Oracle, oh my gosh, DB2 is more expensive. But if you're using 2 or 3 of these tools, you're going to save an awful lot of money. And one of the other things, I think, just from a technical, because I do work with a bunch of technical consultants, whenever we move somebody, especially people that we move from advanced or from Enterprise Server Edition up to Advanced Enterprise Server Edition, there is like this DBA joy that is experienced when they're like, oh my gosh, we're turning on compression. This is so cool. Because they want these things. And you'll often hear DBAs, and those of us who sell software know there are an awful lot of people that come to us and say something like, we need a replication solution, and we say, how much money do you have to spend? And they say, you know, $15,000, and we say, oh, well, that's just too bad. They don't have enough budget. But if it's included, it costs them nothing.
All I can ask him is, as an IBMer and as a valued partner like Fillmore Group, give us an opportunity to show you. I mean, yeah. It's pretty on paper, but yeah, it looks much better when the dollars and cents are actually attached.
Absolutely. And this is just a quick slide to show the replication, the limited use licensing that is in the Advanced Enterprise Server Edition. Again, this holds true also for ICDC for the change data capture. These are the 4 different means and methods that of compression that are used inside of DB2 right now. I think when compression was initially announced, it was just row compression, and now there are so many different methods of doing compression that you're getting some incredible. You read these things and people say, yeah, IBM says it's 50% compression. We turned it on and it was like 80%, and it's fabulous what you hear. If you ever want to have someone very technical explain to you on a bits and bytes level how compression works, you really need to set aside half an hour, and you need to have somebody with a very, very large whiteboard who really knows what they're talking about. It is fascinating.
And Kim, can I add item number 3, actionable compression? That actually realizes how hot the data is and where it might potentially need to be stored, and compresses it in that fashion. So we're not only using algorithms inside the database, but we're using information about the storage environments on the back end to figure out how to actionably compress during the process. And remember, this item or these features are all embedded in the price of the solution.
Yep, yep. And that's the other thing too. All DB2s are the same. They all have the same code base. So regardless of the package that you buy, they all contain the ability. Now with some of the compression tools are only available in advanced, but we'll get to that in a couple minutes. This again is just a graph, and I think all anyone needs to look at is that third column, the green column with all the check marks in it. I hope you get the point.
Yeah, the comparison here is to Oracle 11G and DB210, and you see the different features and functions that are relevant to compression. And the benefit here again, remember the benefit is on the back end where we save storage.
Yes, yes, and remember, green means go. So now we're going to take a second, and I'm going to show a quick video. This is a YouTube video on BLU, so that we can get you probably the most concise, description of BLU. And everybody's going to get to watch me get over to this, but we'll do this as quickly as possible.
Kim, do we have any, before we go to the video, do we have any questions that anybody? I haven't seen any come through yet, but if you've got a question, please don't hesitate to send it in or raise your virtual hand.
Yeah, it looks like we're good right now, but please, yeah, type them in if you've got them.
Organizations that outperform industry peers are 2.2 times more likely to agree that business analytics differentiate them in their sector. To meet this rapidly growing demand for information, IT infrastructures must not only work faster to provide analytics, they must also work smarter. With new database technology created for the era of big data, BLU Acceleration. Developed at the IBM Research and Development Labs and built for analytic queries, BLU Acceleration offers businesses a faster, easier, and significantly more affordable approach to analytics. With new runtime technology that leverages advancements in CPU architecture, BLU Acceleration is built directly into the DB2 kernel for seamless integration. Its new unique encoding capabilities for speed and compression help to optimize memory, CPU, and input-output. With technology built specifically for analytic queries, businesses will benefit from performance that's dramatically faster than previous versions. Because BLU requires no indexes, materialized views, or other structures to run workloads, and automatically configures DB2 for optimal analytics performance, it offers businesses the ultimate simplicity in setup and maintenance and a massive reduction in storage costs. The column-based tables in BLU are also well suited for compression because of their similar, common, and repeating data, which is optimized even further by encoding the more frequent values with fewer bits. BLU's unique encoding capability helps to preserve the order of the data, enabling BLU tables to deliver actionable compression so that the data can be used without decompressing. What's more, the encoded values are packed into bits matching the register width of the CPU for reduced I/O and better CPU and memory utilization. With column store technology and actionable compression, BLU Acceleration minimizes I/O by only performing I/O on columns and values that match the query. This means that predicates, joins, and scans all work on individual columns, and rows are not materialized until absolutely necessary. With dynamic in-memory processing, BLU Acceleration dynamically moves data from storage, ensuring that a high percentage of interesting data fits in memory. BLU tables optimally utilize the memory to reduce query latency, so your data does not have to fit completely and can in fact be larger than the memory. BLU Acceleration is also designed to take advantage of multiple cores, delivering maximum core utilization. Offering dramatically improved efficiency, BLU can automatically detect large sections of data that don't qualify for a query and effectively skip or ignore the data. With its new hardware instructions, BLU Acceleration can apply a single instruction to many data elements simultaneously for noticeably faster processing. For businesses looking to more effectively achieve profitability and competitive differentiation for database workloads, BLU Acceleration provides a faster, easier, and more affordable solution that brings forth the next generation of analytics capabilities. To learn more, visit us online.
I hope everybody enjoyed the video. I do need to correct one thing I said. I did not describe actionable compression. I described it, but I didn't describe it exactly correct. I want to correct it. You saw in the video, we'll compress data, and you can search against that compressed data, and we remember, IBM's DB2 remembers the sequence that was compressed in. That is the correct description of actual compression. I described it as also determining where to put data, and I didn't do it as good as the video did. So I just wanted to make sure that was very clear.
Well, I have to tell you, one of the things I love is the graphic that shows all the different, shows the compression, how it works with a graphic, because that is actually how it works. And
yep.
It's kind of cool to see that. So here we are, and we're going to do a couple quick slides and then a poll. So we're back to Cancun, and this is, once again, the list of the 2014 DB2 highlights. And I think we covered these, so thank you.
Here again, the key is that we now have, in the latest FixPack 4, we now have, with no performance issues, you do not compromise performance if you want to do either OLTP or deep analytics against in that same DB2 kernel.
Same database.
Correct.
Yep, it's pretty cool. And here's our slide.
Yep, we're back to the 6 pillars of why DB2 is a very valued database.
Yep. So now we're going to do our first poll, and I'm going to have a poll for everybody to, let's see, here we go. And my poll question is, very quickly, is your organization currently running DB2 in production? And I understand there are some folks on the line that are DB2 for LUW people, and some are DB2 for ZOS or System I folks, and then some people are not DB2 users. So let me know. Okay, first I had 100%. Everybody said they were a DB2 user for LUW and for Z. So now everybody's rereading the questions, and they're getting it right. So they're, yeah. Okay. And as always, when you do a web poll, we have 50% of the people on the line are saying that they're DB2 for LUW users, 67% say they're DB2 for ZOS or System I, and 17% say they're not using it. If you add that up, that adds up to 114% of 100%. So
some people could be DB2
could be both
and DB2 mainframe.
You're right. Very good. Thank you. Thank you for correcting me. Okay, on we go.
But thank you for your responses.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. So we've got a little bit of everything here. And now I'm going to turn this over to Bill, and he's going to go through some customer success stories, because I think the second of the top 3 reasons is that we have some customers, some client references. People will gush about how much they love DB2. So,
yeah, thanks, Kim. And let's, if you can go to the next slide. I'll tell you what, all of these 3 customers are discussed on the next 3. So let's slide over. If we want to look at 3 pillars of success around DB2 BLU, let's talk about speed. And you'll see 3 customers on here. I'll ask that you keep the one at the top, confidential. But these 3 customers have shown dramatic improvements in the speed of their analytics. You notice Blue Cross Blue Shield, 640 times faster, up to 1,200 times faster. The firm Tykeem Life, same thing. Queries that were taking an hour down to 2 minutes. Triton, information that was that they had analytic queries up to 40 times faster, 45 times faster using the DB2 BLU acceleration. Here again, remember, it is embedded in the kernel of the database. Here again, the second pillar is agility. So we talked about speed. Now let's talk about agility. Agility meaning the opportunity to move, from one environment to another, to aggressively pursue new business options without having to change your underlying environment. So you can see here 3 customers: Core Blue, Handelsbanken, and Listec. And in all 3 cases, they were able to either implement DB2 and BLU, or migrate from another competitive technology to this environment and protect the environment that they had, either through the skill sets, either through the performance capabilities or through the environments, the economics of the environment they were utilizing. So that's an agility customer set. And then from a simplicity perspective, you always want to address the current environment that you have and make it simple if you're moving to another environment. So, for example, Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railway, from a simplicity perspective, they basically just load and go. They turn on the bits that would utilize the BLU technologies, and you can see the comments. He did not need to define any indexes or aggregates. He just loaded the data and ran the queries. Same thing with Coca-Cola Bottling Consolidated. I am intimately familiar with this company. They're in Charlotte, where I'm located. I know these folks personally, and they didn't do hardly anything to move from just normal DB2 to running the BLU technologies and seeing the benefits out of it.
And they also moved originally from Oracle to DB2, right? Yes,
Coca-Cola Bottling is a customer that was running Oracle at one time and underneath the SAP application, and decided from a cost perspective, they wanted to save some money, and I think we're going to see a chart here in a little bit that describes that. But yes, they were an Oracle customer at one time. And then lastly, from a DB2 perspective, here's another customer, a major East Coast financial institution. They speak openly at our Insight or Information on Demand conferences, but this was their web-facing application. 50 million registered users, a million simultaneously connected customers, and they had an outage with a competitor, and they asked IBM to come in, and within 3 months, within 6 months, the first one was migrated in production, and then the largest databases went into production 3 months later. And this was a savings. I don't have the chart to show you, but there was $10 million worth of savings within the first year and a half to 2 years. That is major, major operational expense money to be saved by moving from one environment, from a competitive environment to DB2.
Thank you. Thank you. Well done. And yes, the Fillmore Group worked with them, so I have to say yes.
And then lastly, by the way, Kim, this is Coca-Cola Bottling. That is Tom DeJunis that you see there. He is he's an ambassador for IBM. He flies around the world, but he works for Coca-Cola. But he will willingly tell any customer that wants to speak to him about their migration effort from Oracle to IBM DB2 and the money they saved. There's a video if you want to go to YouTube. Just type in IBM DB2 Coca-Cola Bottling Consolidated, and you'll see Tom and his sidekick Andrew Juarez talking about specifically within 3 minutes. They'll tell you all the goodies that you need to know about their move from Oracle to DB2 and the money that they saved and the performance that they gained.
They're great, yes. I've actually seen them at the Breakfree Forum, and also I think they were both at the at Silicon Valley Labs when IBM announced BLU.
Same thing around Handelsbanken. I don't live in Germany, so I can't tell you specifically about this account, but 100 times improvement in performance of the queries. Fossil. I don't know much about Fossil. I'm an older gentleman, but my kids certainly know about Fossil. They love their products. And here again, a 50 times improvement for their queries. And here again, in an SAP application environment. So if you're an SAP customer and you are considering what SAP is offering around a database, please come see us first, because we have a very compelling story. Here again, another customer that you went through, and then we're down to Burlington, we're back to Burlington Northern Santa Fe. Basically a load and go environment, and they'll be more than happy to talk about it.
So we're going to go to our second poll question, which is, since we were just talking about some of the different options and how people, what's making customers happy, we'd like to ask everyone, I'm going to get back here and ask, oops, I went to the wrong place. But our second poll question is going to be about, my goodness, what have I done? Hang on a second. I'm going to turn this over to you.
Okay.
You read the poll question.
Here's the question. So give us your answer if you don't mind. Then they're all secret. We do not report these to the IRS. Which of the following features interest you the most? A, pureScale, B, BLU, C, JSON support, D, shadow tables, which eliminates the performance potentials with when you're running OLTP and analytics together. That's the shadow tables. And D, the DB2 manageability tools. So A, pureScale, B, BLU, C, JSON support, D, the shadow tables, and E, the manageability tools.
Very interestingly, lots of people are excited about BLU.
Good. As you well should be.
Yeah.
Because we are the leader in the marketplace. Yeah. Let's take a step back. We've got it. SAP's got a something they're touting as it, but you'd be hard pressed it's very expensive. And Oracle just announced theirs, but it's an option you have to buy. And SQL Server, I'm not sure they've got anything that looks and smells like in-memory columnar technology.
Yep, very cool.
Thank you for your responses.
Yeah. So where we are, we have the response is 71% say BLU acceleration, 7% say shadow tables, so that you can run OLTP analytic workloads together, and 21% said DB2 database manageability tools. All great. Thank you. And we are going to make my presentation go. Come on, baby. There we go. Whoops. Nope, that is not what we want. And let's go back. My apologies. I messed up my polling, which made me... Okay, so we're going to go very rapidly through the pricing and packaging, because these two parts are important. But basically, I think the simple message that we want to communicate to everyone here is that we believe the pricing and the packaging for DB2 is superior to anything else you're going to find. IBM has released different packaging versions over the years, simplified packaging. If you look at this slide, we all say, okay, this is much simpler than it was 2 years ago. If you look at the different ways that you can buy DB2, there are still an awful lot of different ways. There's a variety. IBM wants to be competitive. So we're competing against socket pricing and PVU pricing, and so we have to offer that as well. But I think the bottom line with this this slide that I want everyone to understand, there is an advanced workgroup edition and an advanced enterprise server edition. Both of these advanced packages contain all the different options, and these are the options that you get when you get an advanced package of DB2. This is the same list that we showed earlier, and this is just an amazingly, the tools are just amazing.
This is, for lack of better terms, we've taken the Chinese menu. You pick from A, you pick from B, you pick from C, and we've taken that menu and put it all in one.
And say buy it all.
And make it fairly simple, and held the price to a competitive price point. It's been very, 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 very popular in the marketplace. We can also talk real quick about extending that software technology through your database into an appliance. And here you see a picture of our appliances that we take to the marketplace, the family of appliances. There's different appliances underneath. But if you look from left to right, there is an infrastructure appliance where we, in essence, provide the hardware, and you get to bring your own software, your choice of applications and middleware. So we'll provide the storage, the core processing, the networking, and you get to bring along your own infrastructure and application and database software. And then there is a pure application machine, and this we take what is on the left in PureFlex, and we build it out with some pre-integrated application platform technologies. We'll provide your middleware to accelerate the deployment of the application you pick. And those applications could be in patterns. A pattern is nothing more than a format that we give you to help accelerate the deployment of your applications. And then lastly, on the far right is we'll give you a full-blown appliance where the infrastructure software is there, You bring your applications, we'll help you with the patterns for acceleration, but we will deliver the database that is part of that pure data for pure data machines on the far right-hand side. So now you can plug and go and have world-class capabilities around transactions and analytics in that pure data family.
And all of these solutions are bundled together to make deployment really quick. The second thing I wanted to include in terms of pricing and the ways that IBM is packaging is that IBM announced in 2013, I think, the IULA, which is an offering for Oracle customers that are moving to DB2. This is not for, it's for enterprise-sized customers. I think the smallest IULA is $500,000. It's a fairly large purchase, but if you're making this purchasing commitment, you're moving from Oracle to DB2, this offers just an incredible amount of savings in addition to the fact that there's price certainty. IBM agrees, and explain a little bit about that.
Well, here again, and this doesn't preclude if you're a current IBM customer, we can figure out a way to, you know.
Oh, you can?
But here again, as an Oracle customer or as a competitive customer, we'll offer you an opportunity to engage with IBM, and for the three reasons below. From a predictability perspective, you're free to deploy as much as you wish in that time frame, and the flexibility around the numbers of years and the support potential in the out years. We'll give you some options.
Yep, and I guess the bottom line for this, you know, the IULA, just like the IBM ELA, which is an enterprise license agreement, which is done with a large customer, is that, you know, IBM wants to negotiate, and we're willing to talk, and we're willing to compete. So if you've got something that's going to, if there are numbers that are going to work for your organization, if you bring them to us, we're going to figure out a way to make them work, or we're going to try to figure out a way to make them work. Couple slides here about the DB2 transition process for Oracle customers that are considering a move to DB2. This is what you go through. IBM has a toolkit that's called the IBM Database Conversion Workbench. You can actually go to this yourself. You can get a free version of DB2 called DB2 Express C, and you can actually run a conversion. You can run this tool against your current application code, and it's going to give you some statistics on exactly how much of that code can run without being touched on DB2. Second step you're going to do if you're going to take a look at moving to DB2 is you're going to do a license cost comparison, and that's where you're going to have somebody like Bill sit down with you and take a look at what you're paying for Oracle and what he can do for you in terms of DB2 licensing and the best way to do it. You know, there is the IULA, but there are also other options and other packaging options, and you want to give it all consideration. You need to have a migration plan in place, just like for any type of migration. You need to do some training, some mentoring, some skills enablement, and you need to be sure that you're prepared to move. This is a quick statistical diagram on when customers are running these tools to see how their application code will run on DB2. And this is Oracle code running on DB2 without any modification. This is some more stuff that you get when it comes out. These are the links and an article, a little bit more about the migration process and the conversion tool. So if you're going to take a look, if you're an Oracle customer and you're going to consider moving to DB2, you want to give some thought to where you are in terms of support, what's your date, what's your, I know that an awful lot of people Oracle customers all expire, what, May 31st? But
a good number of them. But one of the key dates is when do you write a check to Oracle for your yearly support?
Yes, yes. So if you can factor that in, you know, sometimes that can make a difference. Sometimes it's kind of it ends up being a little bit. It's a tiny part of the equation.
Well, normally the offsetting issues are the operational expenses that you save.
Yes.
And I'll be glad to run the business value assessment for you. It's a extensive cost benefit model.
Yes.
And here again, I think you'll be very, very pleased with the dollars and cents that are shown and the costs that you're going to be able to save.
And I think one of the things, we talk all the time about how your total cost of ownership is lower and your support costs are lower. We do see customers that end up, people that have said, we had 6 DBAs, we now have 4. And their systems are up and they're performing extremely well. A little bit more about the transition process. Again, this is what you get with that advanced enterprise server that we love. And these are some slides on some of the separate features, and in the interest of time, I'm going to go through these really quickly, but you can go back and reread these. Let's do our last poll really quickly, and I think we will do this very quickly.
And here's the poll question, Kim.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So we're on the last poll.
Back here.
All right, I want you to be thinking about this one. Which factor does your organization consider most important when selecting a database technology? Which factor? Price, features and capability, or total cost of ownership, including support and growth costs? So which factor do you consider most when selecting a database technology? Price, features, or ongoing costs, TCO?
Well, I am very happy because it's great to see. It looks like 80% of the people say total cost of ownership, and I think that's wonderful because that means you guys are getting it. It is not just the price, it is also what you're getting for the price, and that's really, I think, where we know that we've got the best story to tell. We're going to slide on down here. And through this stuff, and I think we are just about at the end.
Right.
So let's talk about next steps.
All right. Kim, as a valued IBM partner, we'd certainly like to engage together with anybody on the phone or on the webinar. But here's what I'd like for you to do. We know who registered. We'll be sending out a thank you note this afternoon. But we would love for you to review any information that you have that you'd be willing to share with us about your environment and the environment that you'd like to go to. Whether that's if you're an Oracle customer and you would consider looking at moving towards a DB2 environment, or if you're a DB2 customer and you are running a back level of DB2, and you'd like to get into the BLU technology, or if you're running an Enterprise Server Edition license and you'd like to move up to Advanced Server. So we'd love to review any of the information you would have. I'll be more than happy to schedule any calls to gather information so I can do a cost-benefit model for you. And the cost-benefit model, by the way, doesn't only pertain to Oracle customers that want to move to DB2. It could also pertain to an IBM customer who would look to move to move up the food chain to a new licensing model, because there are some benefits there. The third item is any information you'd like to share, and we have a fairly significant, a fairly detailed process we'd like to go through with you to discuss a migration plan. Because the best, what did Steinbeck say of mice and men and the best laid plans? If you lay the plans up front, then the migration effort is much easier on the back end. And then secondly, I don't know who on the phone might be going to the IBM Insight show, but Kim and I have the authority. IBM Insight is our information management show. It's in Vegas. It starts October 26th. For anybody that wants on the phone that hasn't registered, I will offer you a $100 discount if you register by the end of business day, September 30th. Now, on this chart right here is a link to register. We know who attended or who registered for the show, for the webinar today. But if you register by the 30th of September, I can offer you a $100 discount off of the registration fee. And we would love for you to show up. It is a big deal for IBM customers. It's 4 days of seminars, webinars, meeting IBM executives, meeting folks like Angie Payton, who's on the phone here today, an IBM executive that can help you embrace the technologies that we discussed today, and partners like the Fillmore Group.
Well, thank you very much. And Bill, just to reiterate what Bill has said, I believe the different options that would be available to people as they finish this webinar and say, hey, we're interested in taking the next step. You know, one option is to do a one-on-one technical deep dive on one of these new technical enhancements to DB2. We can certainly facilitate that. I work for Frank Fillmore, who's a DB2 Gold consultant, and I also work with a team of DB2 consultants, and we'd be more than happy to connect you with one of them to really talk through what these things mean to you in production. In terms of a second option would be a license pricing and doing an overall cost analysis. And as Bill said, he would be more than happy to work with you on that. And then the third thing is if you're an enterprise user or a workgroup edition user, if you're interested in one of the advanced editions, either Bill or I would be happy to get that pricing for you because I do think you should take a look at it. I think the value is unbelievable, and I think what you get is certainly worth it.
I agree, Kim, and I think I don't know, do we have any questions, but I want to be sensitive to everybody's time. You were kind enough to take your lunch hour with us, and I'd like to repay you by telling you on behalf of IBM and Fillmore Group, we certainly appreciate your attendance. We'll take a minute or two if anybody had a question, and we'll stay on another 5 minutes if anybody had any questions that they wanted to address via the webinar.
I see we have one question on packaging, except that I don't see the question. I just see the word packaging. So if there's more.
Well, I'm not sure. Oh, you got the question?
I do.
Okay, what is it?
Okay. It says.
Okay. I feel like a baseball announcer, and we're having a post-game call-in show. This is great. And by the way, I'm sitting in the beautiful offices in Baltimore, Maryland, home of the American League's East champions.
Oh, thank you. Okay, we do have a question here, so hang on just 1 second. Here we go. How does your BLU technology compare to Sybase IQ?
There's a chart, or you went through a comparison, and unfortunately, I will be honest with you. If you could identify yourself, or privately, if you want, we'll get you the answer. I can tell you, I'm not as familiar with Sybase IQ, except to say that the BLU technology certainly marries the in-columnar memory technologies, and in essence, if you can envision doing searches across rows and columns, now you just do searches in the columns, and that benefits from a performance perspective. I don't have the basis or the knowledge about Sybase, but I will get you the answer if you'll identify who asked the question.
I can do that. I can do that. Then the other question is, I am migrating from 9.7 Enterprise Server Edition to 10.5 Enterprise Server Edition. What comes with Enterprise Server Edition and what that I'm not going to get with Advanced Enterprise? And I'm going to pull this up because I can't do it off the top of my head.
Yeah, we'll go back to the slide. Well, basically, with Advanced Server, you're getting compression, you're getting the pureScale technology, and the majority of the tooling that that comes with Advanced Server.
Yeah, and so, I believe with your it's definitely compression, it's Optum Performance Manager. Yeah. I believe the limited use replication licenses are not with the Enterprise.
Correct.
And Federation
and pureScale. I don't think the Enterprise license has the pureScale technology.
We're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to do the exact same thing, John. We'll get you the answer offline. But yeah, there is there are lists.
Yeah, if you upgraded from an Enterprise to Advanced Server, as opposed to buying the individual licenses to support the products that you weren't going to get, it makes sense to go ahead and upgrade to the Advanced Server. If you added all the options up, it becomes less costly to do the upgrade from Enterprise to Advanced Server. The sum of the parts, the whole is less than the sum of the parts.
Gotcha. Okay, and I think that's it for questions. And I think that does it. Bill, thank you very much. You did a wonderful job.
No, I'm always honored to have an opportunity to work with the Fillmore Group and to work with customers. I hope it was valuable for you. It certainly was for me. Here again, $100 off if you register for the Insight Conference by the end of the day, September 30th. And we will be following up with each of you to see how we can be of service to you.
And if you're not a DB2 customer and you want to come to the Insight Conference, we will get you into the Break-Free Forum because we would love to have you have the opportunity to meet some other customers that have actually moved from Oracle to DB2 and been successful. So thank you very much. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
We're going to end the recording now. Thanks, everyone.